Welcome to Primetime Mitch, guys. Scream 7 review incoming. Non-spoiler, remember, only watched it last night. Here's my quick thoughts on the newest entry into the Scream franchise, directed by Kevin Williamson. I'm just going to be immediate about this movie. I'm not going to really talk about everything that's led up to it. I know there's been a lot of rewrites. I know that Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega disappearing from the project is a big deal. I know that Scream 6 was not really a big favourite of mine. I don't think it really felt like Scream. I think the series has been really heavily relying on the nostalgia for the last 3 movies. So I didn't have massive high hopes going into this one. I think that was the best position to be in. I think when you go in with a big high hopes or you follow the lead of some of the taglines on the posters or the comments pulled from reviews saying things are the best movies of the year and stuff, it usually hampers your experience. So I didn't buy into that at all. Didn't watch a trailer. As you know, I don't watch trailers. So this was an opportunity just to watch it as open-minded as possible and put me in the best position to enjoy it. I think it starts strongly. I think there is a real feel of the original. It's quite cool how they play on, as you will see from the trailer, the old Maca house. And it's a nice opening with that. It's quite shocking in parts as well, particularly the way they go into the main title credits. But I did think that was a strong opening. I thought it was interesting how they brought Sydney in as the wary, overprotective mother. I actually leaned into Amy during the movie and said she is giving me major Jamie Lee Curtis vibes here. Badass mother persona, but at the same time she'd sort of mellowed and softened as well. So I was okay with the direction they were taking Sydney in here. I didn't think she was shoehorned in like I believe she was in 5. And you can tell that a lot of this story is going to focus on her relationship with her daughter Tatum. So I think that's a strong way to start. You're going down the family route, but you're also introducing a new kind of Sydney, not one that's just been brought back because she's famous. I think this movie, as I said in the out of theatre reaction, does very well in terms of throwbacks and Easter eggs and fan service. It always seems to do them quite subtly, quite nicely. I think this comes from just having a knowledge of the franchise and knowing what people enjoy about it, having a knowledge of horror movies and tropes and traits, which obviously this film has been based around from the very beginning. The meta aspect is always very strong in this, and it never really damages it, I don't think. I think maybe 3, I wasn't enjoying it quite as much. I think in this one and the rest of them, they have been smart in their use of meta. So I'm not going to try and overly analyse this movie too much because I am a fan of the franchise. Barring 3 and probably 6, I have enjoyed all the movies. What hurt this film a little bit to me is, and I think I put a short out on this when it happened actually, I wasn't happy that we found out about how many people were going to be in this and who was going to be making comebacks. I know it creates a buzz and it creates theories and things like that, but you have potential moments in this movie that could have really elevated it in fans' eyes because they would have been surprised. We got told that David Arquette was coming back. I think that would have been a nice little shock and a nice surprise for the fans, and we never got that because we knew it was happening. I'm not a big fan of this revealing everything before. I'm the same with wrestling. I like things to be in the moment. I don't like this big publicity stunt. So I think that hurt it a little bit. And like I said, it started strong, and I think I was invested in it for quite a long time. I didn't think some of the characters were that great. You always get throwaways in these who are going to be sacrificed early on or really not be fleshed out too much because what's the point? They're going to get taken out anyway. You can't care about every character. I totally get that. But there were some characters in here who I think could have done with some development. I think I liked it before I didn't, if that's the phrase. And the third act to me was probably the most disappointing. That's just personally for me. I didn't really like the reveals. I'd also called it very early, and that's not like me. I'm usually so immersed, I never see anything coming. Some of the most obvious things in movies I have not seen coming because I'm just in the zone. This one, I called it about 45 minutes before it finished. So that, again, that hurt my experience at the end somewhat. And I think as well, it felt a little rushed. To me, I think the reveals and there are certain elements of backstory and things like that that are thrown in very, very quickly and obviously rather than something that's hinted and maybe then revealed later on. We just get it, boom, this one sentence should cover it. Obviously, I don't want to give too many spoilers on that, but there are certain instances in this film where I felt like everything was a little too easy, if that makes sense, to just explain it like that. There are some nice visuals in this movie as well when it comes to the gore and the sort of ramped up the kills. There's one in particular which I really did laugh at, which was a nice touch, if a little unbelievable, which again, you've got to suspend a lot of disbelief for some of these later entries in this franchise, but I will commend the visuals. They were worked on and unique and quite impressive. I'm not going to give things away, obviously, but there's a lot of like modern elements in this that are being used, a lot of technological premises that you're either behind or you just aren't really that fond of in this day and age. I guess you'll only know when you watch it, but I will say that it was nice to see some of these characters again. I think Gale Weathers has actually become a better character in this than I thought she was going to be. I'm of the firm belief that I think she was just thrown into 6 for the sake of it. I didn't really see her purpose in that. I felt she was funnier, sassier, and more like Gale Weathers in this one, without ever becoming a parody of herself. I actually think Sydney Prescott, or Sydney Evans as she is in this, is probably the strongest of all the legacy characters in this, and probably the strongest character in the film. I think she really holds it together. I think this is probably one of Neve Campbell's best performances as Sydney. And Isabel May as Tatum is also extremely impressive. I think she can go places. I don't think this franchise can go places. That's my opinion. I think they have done this now to the point where I don't think you can go any further without really hurting your legacy. Can't say that this is one of my favourites. I don't think it's really near the top. I think there's a lot of flaws in it, and although it's a decent little watch and it probably has rewatchability factor, and I think that's what I always put into my reviews and my ratings when it comes to stars, I don't think it's a particularly impressive entry, and I don't think the ideas are hitting anymore, particularly when it comes to the Ghostface reveals and the motives behind it. I don't think now there is many places this can go, and it's a shame really, because when you say I don't think it can go any further after this, that can be one of two ways. It's either this is tiring now or it's the perfect conclusion. I think it's leaning towards the former, unfortunately for me. But that's my immediate thoughts on Scream 7. I'd love to know what you guys thought of this movie, whether you think it was an absolute treat and what you really wanted from it, or whether you think it just has had its day, essentially. I guess it might age over time and become better. Some movies do that. I think Scream 5 has done that for me. But overall, not the experience I really was hoping for. To quote one of my friends on Instagram, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. Thank you guys, that's my non-spoiler immediate reaction review of Scream 7. I will probably go in depth on this and probably rank all the Scream movies sometime in this year, and then I can place it accordingly and maybe talk a little bit more in depth. I may do a spoiler review on this yet, depending on the time. Not got a whole lot of it at the moment, what with it being transitioning between houses. If I do something on this movie, maybe it'll be in a brand new studio, and that'll be nice. And very welcome visually anyway. Thanks guys, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell for more video updates, and as ever, please drop me a like and some stuff in the comments. Tell me what you thought about this movie. I really want to know other opinions, because I think this one's going to be quite divisive and I want to get heavily involved in the discussion on it. Thanks guys, have a very, very good week, and I will catch you later. Stay safe.